Hello folks. I am so excited to show you what I'm going to paint today. You know, I don't know if you've been to Steamboat Springs in Colorado, but this barn is a historical barn. And I've seen this so many years, through the years. Well, it didn't used to have a metal roof, but you know, they're trying to save this barn. So we've seen it at different seasons. Sometimes there'll be, in the spring, there will be the daisies and that kind of thing. And the Indian paintbrush will come, and then there's sunflowers. This time I'm doing some sunflowers. There's just been all kinds of different flowers. And so now they put the metal barn on. If you go up to the ski area, the road is right behind this barn. And so you would see the other side of this barn. So I've seen that through so many years, and I wanted to paint this barn for you. Now you'll notice I'm not going to do any clouds today because look at that blue sky. That is so incredible how Colorado, we will have a cobalt blue sky. That isn't color corrected or anything. That's just the way God made it that day. So that's the way I'm going to paint that sky today. So, and you know, blue and brown, the really good color combination. So that's what we're going to paint today. And I'll show you this from time to time, but I'm anxious to paint it for you. And I hope you enjoy watching it as much as I enjoy painting it. Now I'm telling you, I've got it drawn on here. I sketched it lightly. I didn't draw all the other stuff. I did put I used my watercolor pencils. I used my little watercolor pencils, and I just drew lightly where I want these sunflowers and some over here, because I want to make sure I save those spaces. And so, but I got to do the sky first, because I've got to do the sky before I can do the barn, because I don't want it to run into it. So I'm going to do some sky, and I will start, well, shoot, what I need to do first, now look at that. I've got some paint on there, so we aren't going to worry about that, but I'm going to wet it really good, and then we'll come back. I should have just done it with water. You know what? I get so excited about what I want to show you. And look at my big brush. This brush is really good for big stuff. And I don't even know what number. It's just silver black velvet. It's the jumbo round. And it's good for this. Seeing it's got a good point, I can go right up to where I want to go with the sky, and go right across here. And now we're going to come in with this gorgeous I'm going to do the cerulean blue first, because I want it to be a little bit lighter further down. You'll see that I'm just doing it just a little bit lighter down. Then because you know, it's always lighter, even if you've got a bright sky, it's always lighter right at the horizon. And so we want to keep up that, but boy, we're going to have us a beautiful cobalt blue sky at the top. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Oh my word. Oh, I don't know how all these colors come about, but our Creator knows how to paint beautiful stuff, and if I can even do a part of it, of what He has done, boy, I love doing that. I love doing that. So now that I've got that color on there, I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm gonna put a little bit. Oh, look at that. That's exactly. This is ultramarine blue. I'm putting a little bit of that right at the top, on top of that cobalt blue. Now I'm gonna turn it up. I'm gonna turn it up and let it run. And I'll have to probably put some water with it to blend it. But I'm gonna put a little bit more water. I don't use this great big round brush except for skies, something that's great big. If I was doing a huge painting, this would be a good one to use. I like that. I think, now look, there's a spot up there where it doesn't want to take. I'll tell you what, if you have spots where your paint isn't taken, it might be that spot has been touched with somebody with lotion on their hands, and I didn't have lotions on today, so I don't know if it was earlier when I had worked with this piece of paper because it makes so much difference. Your paper doesn't want to take its paint. I think that's good enough for now. Let's let that dry, and then we will come back and get started on the barn and the stuff behind. Oh, that mountain going up the side. This particular picture is more of a fall picture, but we'll kind of have it a fall picture. But I want you to see, first of all, because I've already done that sky, I'm going to come clear down here and we're going to do some of this grass and some of this other stuff. And you see, I cleaned my palette. Aren't you proud of me? I didn't clean it all the way through, but I cleaned an awful lot so that I can show you some new color mixes. Now there's cobalt blue, and I'm gonna get over here for some new gamboge, and I'm gonna make some green. We are gonna whip out this thing, and I think you will enjoy it. I have been waiting to do this. It's so exciting to me to see this thing. Now I'm gonna put in some green right over here. That's right, and you see, I'm kind of just doing this sideways, and I'm gonna go up here and do some of this. But you know, I've talked to you before about eye stoppers, and so I had to fix, because the photographs that I had, it did not have an eye stopper where I liked it. So part of my eye stopper, I'll show you a part of my eye stopper. It wasn't in this painting, but you know what? Since we're the artist and we're kind of creating it, it's all right for you to kind of change it, fix an eye stopper where you need an eye stopper if it doesn't have an eye stopper. So what I've done for this one, and that's all the green. I'm gonna do just a little dab over here. I'm not gonna do a whole bunch because I'm gonna paint these daisies, and then we'll do some of that around those, not daisies, I mean sunflowers. This time we're doing sunflowers. There's just a little bit of green there. Okay, now I want to show you this eye stopper because I think it's neat. And the reason I did it, see, this is from another photograph. See this one? See this post? Well, I decided we needed, this is an eye stopper here, and then over here it'll be the sunflower. So I'm gonna mix right here, I'm gonna mix some post color. So when you want brown, the color you want to mix is you want to mix your Hooker's green. You're going to mix Hooker's green, and then you're going to mix alizarin crimson. You think, well, that's a crazy color. Look at that brown. Is that neat? I like that brown. That is a good color of brown. And so you can vary it. You can make it more reddish, or you can make it darker. Oh, look at that. Okay, see, I've already got some green in there, but that doesn't matter at all because I can go right over the green with this brown because it's darker. You couldn't do that if that was a lighter color, but because this post is very, very dark, and we can put some light stuff on it, some light on it later, but right now this is just the post for there. Now, since I've done that post, I'm gonna come back here, and if you notice in this photograph, look at the dark that it is here. In all of these doors, those things are open, and up here, look how dark it is. So I'm gonna use that color, but in order to get the color I wanted, I'm going to add some cobalt blue to that brown, and that makes it another darker color. Look at that. Is that awesome? I'm going to add a little bit more of that. Okay, now I'm going to fill in those holes where that's dark, because then you will know that is the hole in that barn. That, you know what? I'll tell you what, as old as this barn is, it has lots of stories behind it. I'm sure, lots and lots of stories. So there's another space where a door is, and I might need to be changing to my other little smaller brush, but right now I'll do this and then I'll come back with that. There's another, I can't believe all that dark. And you know what? The dark makes the light shine up. So it's good to make sure where you need to have the dark, you do the dark. Okay? I'm gonna do my land. Look at all those dark spots. I'm gonna fill in these other spots with this brush for right now, and then we'll come back and we'll do the stuff that's closer with a little smaller brush, because this just works. This works faster to use the bigger brush. Anytime you can use a bigger brush, it's just a good thing. It is. And so you can use a smaller brush for certain things, and you'll see that it'll make me make a little bit better lines. But I'm gonna go up here and oh, look at that. I need to fill in that hayloft. How many of you got to play in a hayloft when you were a kid? You know what? I didn't live in the country, but my husband did, and he's got stories like crazy of stuff them doing in the hayloft. You know what? Who knows what all went on those haylofts, huh? I love stories and what your grandma and grandpas could tell you about the haylofts and jumping from the hayloft down in and scaring somebody that was below. Oh my, did crazy things, didn't they? Well, that's part of the memories of life that's special. And you know what? If you're a grandma or a grandpa, it'd be good for you to be recording that, so you've got that to pass on to your kids and your grandkids, so they can know all the stories of your barn when you were a kid. Because those stories are just pretty. You know, some of those stories are lost, and we don't want them to be lost. So you think about, okay, now look, that looks kind of messy, doesn't it? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this other brush. This is, I think that's my number 6. I think that's my number 6. My numbers are all worn off because I've painted too much with them. Now I'm going to go here and see, I can go, yeah, now I can go right up to the line where I need it and make it just a straight little line. And you know, even if I go out a little bit, the same thing is going to happen when I do. That's the neat thing about when I paint the red and the browns on this beautiful barn. It's going to cover up some of that dark. So that's really neat that you can do that with watercolor. You don't think about it, but you can. You might have to do it more than one coat to get it to cover, but it's amazing how much you can cover it. So see, I'm going right up to that line, and I'm going to get that, and we may come, you know, I'm going to paint this as much as I can today for you. But you know, I was telling a friend about painting this thing, and I said, you know, probably what's going to happen to me when I'm all done painting it and I sit it up on the counter, I'm going to see more spots, and I think, oh, I need to paint that. So I'll probably do a little bit of change into it, but that's part of being an artist, I think. I think sometimes that's what we do. We look at something and we think, oh, I don't know why I did that. So we just have to change stuff sometimes. You ever done that when you were cooking and you think, boy, I think it would be a little bit better next time to do such and such. Well, then sometimes I've written that on my recipe so that the next time when I do it, I can do it more the way I want to. You know what? I think I'm gonna need to mix some more of this, and I mixed a big batch of it, but that takes up quite a bit of that dark. And you know, when you do your watercolor, almost always, okay, we're gonna do some of this Hooker's green and some alizarin crimson and some cobalt blue. Always when you do your watercolor, it almost always will turn lighter when it dries. And I know I've told you that before, but I will tell you probably that many times, repeatedly. Now look at that gorgeous color. You know what? You may ask me, well, why don't you just use black? Well, I'll tell you what. I have a thing about using black. I don't like to use black. I don't, and some people do, and if that's what you choose to use, that's all right. You don't have to be just like me. I'm not saying that. But for me, I don't like to use black because to me it's a dead color. And if I mix these three colors together, when you actually see the painting, I think you can tell that it's more alive than if it had been totally done with black. So that's why I don't use black. So that's my explanation of that. I'm going to be reminding people again that if you can look at my videos and make me a comment or questions, I would love to help answer some of your questions if I can. If I can't, I'll tell you I can't, or maybe I'll have to see if I can find out from somebody else what they're saying with it, you know, and what they think about the answer to your question. But maybe, who knows, I might know how to help you. And you know, I thought about something this week, and I want to share that with you. You know, sometimes in life we think, I don't have time to do this, and we have very busy lives, and when you have family and other commitments with your work and other things, sometimes time is so limited. So that's one advantage of watercolor. You can put up your watercolors, and if you have a little space where you can leave them up, and then fix your little sticky thing of what you want to do when you go to paint, and then you will have what you want to do so that you can do it quickly. And even if you can spend a little bit of time with painting, it doesn't have to be a long time. You think, oh, I don't have time. See, the thing is, your paints, all you have to do is, you know, I just sprayed my paints here with this little Holbein watercolor sprayer to kind of refresh them. I have to tell you, I had a student come this week that I had taught several years ago, and she's had several physical problems, so she hasn't been able to paint. So when she came this time, she had washed off all of her palette, all of her colors. I said, where are your colors? Well, I washed it. Oh, I said, please don't wash your palette. You know, you can kind of clean it up, but don't wash your palette. Your colors are fine. Don't wash them away, okay? So I don't want you to waste your colors, okay? So you don't need to waste. But what I started to say about you spending some time painting, you know, if you think this way. If you do something today, and it's just a little bit, and next week you do just a little bit, and next week you do just a little bit, it adds into weeks, it adds into months, it adds into years. So don't say, I'm going to do it when I have a whole bunch of time. Sometimes we just don't have a whole bunch of time. So do a little bit. Do what you can. It's valuable. Just so a little bit adds into more, and you have to look at it that way because we get so busy. Okay, I need to do these posts back here. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna do the side of this barn so that I can do those posts, because see, those posts are darker like this, and I can do them, but I've got to get that background done. So I'm going to do the side of that barn. Now the side of that barn is kind of a crazy color because it's brown, but it's also a lot of red. So I'm going to mix some of this red with it, And then, many times the color that I'm going to use for my shadow is going to be cobalt blue. Cobalt blue. It's the best shadow thing I know. Cobalt blue is so good. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and I'm not even going to worry about those posts. I know where those posts are, and hopefully I can see them, but I'm going to do the side of this barn. And I'm going to turn this thing sideways because I can hit it better like this. And while it's still wet, then I'm going to put some of that cobalt blue on there and let it run, and it'll make an awful good color for that side of that barn. And maybe I can kind of go around these posts. We'll see if we can. If we don't do it exact, we won't worry about it. But I like using this number 8 brush. See, because I've been very careful with my number 8 brush, I don't leave it in the water, and I always lay it flat. This brush it's at least 10 years old. I don't know for sure how old it is. All the numbers are worn off of it, but because I've been very careful with the point on it, look, it still has a good point. I can go right up against stuff and paint. Is that fun or what? I told somebody this. Now see, I went out there further than I needed to, and that's not part of it. I'm going to stick my finger in there, but I'm going to pull that back. Well, that's the amazing part of these colors that we're using today. So many of these will be dark over the top that it's amazing how you can cover it up. It'll be, I think that's good enough, but that's already that thing is drying. Is that crazy how fast it's drying? So I'll wet it and put a little bit more water on it, and then we'll put the blue on it. I'm not going to worry about this. Let's just go right over that. We'll just make that pole. We can make that pole. And I'm going to turn this other way. You can always turn your board around so that you can get right at your line where you want to go, and just do a quickie right up there. That's all we're going to do. And that's the end of our barn right there. Okay, now to get my cobalt blue in there, like I told you I wanted to do, I'm just going to swish this around and put a little bit more water in there. I don't want to make balloons. When you have too much water, and some people like balloons. I just don't. Well, balloons are all right if they're real balloons, but I don't want balloons on my watercolor paper. Okay, now this looks really crazy, but if you look at the picture, it's really, really dark. But see, the thing about these colors that I'm using, they are transparent colors. If I was using opaque colors, that would totally cover up that red under there. But because these are transparent colors, you're going to see some of that red shining through, and I can put some more of that on top of that to blend that together. It's just awesome what it does. Oh my, the transparent colors are so good to use when you're painting. If you're going to paint with opaque stuff, you're probably going to just flat do opaque stuff. Now see, I'm going to not even be real particular about that because I'm going to bring those posts right over the top of that. There's a little tiny bit there. Let's see if I can, it would be interesting to find out. And you know what, I wouldn't be a bit surprised, but what Steamboat has some stories of his barn, because this barn has been so special through the years for that community. I'll bet you there's some stories written about this barn that would be really interesting to find out, because it's a pretty historical town. Now, is that looking like pretty good barn? Ooh, I like it. And see, you can see that little bit of red shining through. That's all that matters. Wow. Oh, I like it. Okay, now, while that's drying, because I'm going to come back in here and do those posts next, because we have all this stuff from this dark color that I did. In fact, I'm going to stick my brush in here and just do a little bit of that on this post over here, because I want him to look like he's ragged. And you know, because he's ragged, there'd be some light spots on him, so we'll get some light spots on him later. You can do that later. Okay, I think we need to work on this, because I'm going to want to do some splattering on this, so I need it to dry. And my brush just tipped on that, so I'm just going to look at that. I took it off right away, even though I made a mess, but I took it off. My water's getting pretty dirty, but I'm gonna use this just for a little bit. Let's see how it is. I'm gonna use some gamboge, and my brush has got some other stuff in it, so I don't think it's any big deal, because this is gonna be kind of the underneath color. And I want to use a little bit of quinacridone gold. You know, I've told you before, when you're mixing your colors, it's really good if you try not to mix more than 3 colors together, because if you do, very often you'll make a muddy looking color, and so you don't want to mix 3 colors together if you can possibly help it. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna make some of this foreground stuff, and I'm just gonna blend it up here with my big brush, gonna go clear across here. But I want to I'm going to come here over to my clean water, because I want this to be clean, going up into that green. See, I can make that go right up into that green and just blend it together. And then when we're all done with it, if you remember on the, let's see, what one was it? It was called the Thunder Lake one. I did some splattering with my tooth. Oh, I did it just with the brush, didn't I? Because I didn't have it. But today I have my toothbrush there. I'm going to show you how to do it with a toothbrush. That's just fun. That's just fun to do it with that. So I'm going to bring this clear up here to the edge, and I'm going to bring this over here to this. I'm going to cover up this green, and then we're going to do some sunflowers in a minute. Oh wow. Is this fun or what? And I'm going to stick a little bit of green down there. Now look, because I did those, I have to tell you, because I did those sunflowers with my watercolor pencil, you know what? When I put this water on here, it washed my sunflowers away. Well, we'll just draw some sunflowers. How's that? No reason why we can't do that. Now, I want you to see this picture up here in the back. I want you to see what I'm doing here. See, if you look at this, look at this mountain that's up here. That's where the road is, right there. It goes right up there. And so there's this, if this was snow, that would be all white. But there's the mountains, and there's the trees, and that's probably a ski run right there. But right up behind this barn is the road. So I'm going to do some of the green up there, and we're going to do this background thing, and then we'll come back down to the barn. Oh, can't wait to do that red barn. Okay, let's do that. Let's use some of this, and I'm going to use this big brush again, because that's just working pretty good to go up there with some of that gold and that green. And we're going to do just a little bit of the gold, and then we're going to do green, and then we're going to just let that dry a little bit, and then we'll do some trees up there. And, I mean, you know, that's what that steamboat is. Beautiful, beautiful trees. You know, that's if you've been a skier at all, you probably have enjoyed skiing at Steamboat Springs. And you know what, this week, oh my, they're telling me they have just had incredible snow up there. We have had snow in Colorado, so it's been a real special time for these people that love to ski. Now I'm gonna come back to this in just a minute. I want to do this over here, and then we're gonna do this down here. That's kind of, oh, it's just kind of brownish. I think because in this photo, it's more the fall, and so the stuff has started to dry out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some of this quinacridone gold, and I'm going to put just a tiny bit. I did a bit too much tiny bit. I'm going to do a little bit more. There we go. Now we've got a better color. Okay, now I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do this to make this the background color here, and I'm going to go right up, hopefully. Now I should tell you this, and I think I've probably told you this before, but I want to repeat it for you. Whenever you're going to paint next to another color so that it doesn't run, you want to make sure that it's pretty dry, because if it isn't dry, you're going to run your paints together, and if you don't want that to happen, you want that paint next to you to be pretty dry. Yeah, that's good. Okay, now I put that into that, and let's see if I can come over here and make a, yeah, that's what we want right there. And we'll just blend this because it'll just be the background color. Now, you know, when you're doing a painting, you want to think as you're working, what is your center of interest? What's your most important thing in your painting? Well, you know, not hard to tell what the most important thing is on this painting. It's definitely this old barn. I love this old barn. And I've painted barns in acrylic and oil and watercolor, and they can all be pretty different, and I'm sure their story is so different. Oh my, I should have my Gordy write us a story about this barn, because I'll bet he could make up a story from what his stuff was as a kid. All the stuff playing hide and seek, and then jumping down on top of somebody. Now look, I've done that background. It's just barely wet. While it's like that, I'm going to come in here with my number 6 brush, and I'm going to mix. And I've got some color over here already, and I think what I just need to do is put some cobalt blue with it to mix it more of the green. I'm going to do some shadows of these trees up here, because these trees, you know, we have the ponderosa pine too, but our special trees in Colorado are the blue spruce, and they do have a bluish tint to them. They do. So I'm going to have my paper towel in case I make a mess. I don't want to make a mess. So watch me with this little brush. This is awesome. Okay, I'm going to pretend like I'm planting little trees just up there, just up on the hill. Oh wow. And you know, you could spend an awful lot of time, and you don't have to be exact. It's just kind of the feel that we know those are trees up there. Oh wow, just little zigzaggy things. I'm going to use my other little brush, and I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to blend this just a little bit at the bottom right there, because I don't like exactly what I did, but because that's in the distance, that's good. And I'll blend these just a little bit at the bottom, just a tiny bit, not a whole bunch. Oh, I like that. It's just about right. Doesn't have to be perfect. You know, if you try, you know, it's really good for you to look at the trees, and you look at them, and you'll see they're not just an A. They're not just a triangle. They have very many little branches, very little edges. I think that's enough. I think that's enough of them. So now I want to do some over here. I'm going to do some here, just kind of the same thing, but a little bit different. And you know what? another thing that's different about this, now these are in the distance, so I don't want to get busy with them. I don't want to just do triangles. I'm just doing a little peaks. And then while it's still wet, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pull this with I'm going to wet my brush, and I'm just going to pull the bottom. And if I feel like I need to make little lines up at the top, I can do that. Just soft, 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 just to let you know, yeah, there's trees up there, but they're far away and I don't really see them exact. Now, I don't want to make them just kissing the top of the mountain, that we might do a few little trees up there just at the top, but very, very limited. You know, if you're doing something that's right up at the edge, it's better to just go a little bit above, or just make sure that you're further down below. Now, I have to tell you something else about mixing this. When you're mixing the cobalt blue and the new gamboge, it separates. It's just, you can mix it up and you think, well, I thought I had the right color. Well, as it sits, it separates. So you can see that I used my little brush and I just mixed it up a little bit and then came back in it. So all these trees will not be the same. Some of them are lighter and some of them are darker. And then I'm going to do down here, it's like there's a row of trees that are here that are just kind of bushes or something. I'm not sure what they are, but they are pretty blue. I'm going to want to bring some cobalt in there because I can see those definitely have some blue. And so I'm going to bring some cobalt in right now, and I'm going to mix that with that. Okay, now while I have that on there, I'm going to pull it so that it's not a line there at the bottom, so that it blends. See, I'm doing the dry brush. Remember when we talked about the dry brush and you hold your brush flat like that? And ordinarily I would have you hold it like this, but I'm just doing that quickie and I just smudge that in there. Now I'm going to use my little tiny brush with some water, and I'm just going to very softly lift the top of that so that it's just really, really soft. Okay, now I can see that up here on this mountain there are definitely some gold trees, and I think they're probably aspen. So I'm gonna make some little colors up here that are like will be our aspen trees. We can't forget those aspen trees. So I'm gonna do some of that, and to do that I want to have some of this Aurelian. Some of this Aurelian will be good. And there again, they're not going to be real detailed at all. Now I'm going to take my little brush and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to lift that so that it's a little bit soft. Oh my, I kind of like it. I do, I like it. Oh my, do you ever sing when you're painting? My. Oh, sometimes it's hard not to sing. Look, I stuck some of that blue in there. You know what? I am a fan of cobalt blue. I think it adds so much to add some cobalt blue. Now, I think because I want to look at that, I don't think I want to do more of that. I want to come back and do these posts. I got to do those posts because look, I've got all that dark color. And you know, this time I think because those posts are quite a bit smaller, I think I'm gonna use this little brush, and this is just my number 2 brush. But I want to do these just the way I want to do them. And this is dry over here, so I'm gonna go and look. I can go right up against that, and because it's right where the barn is, it's going to be all right to cover up that red and that cobalt blue that's up there. And it's still going to let you know that this little post and fence is here. And who knows what all this, you know, when this barn was used first, there had to be cows and the animals and all that stuff around it too. So I don't know. I'm glad they've saved this barn. Oh my, I'm so glad they've saved this barn. And I look forward to seeing it again. But you know what? It'll look totally different if it's in the wintertime, because the snow and all this will be up around here. Now when you come over to this part of it, you have to walk a distance because there's no parking close to this, so you have to walk a distance to get up to this. I'm gonna put just another little post there. I mean, you know, we're gonna be an artist. Just add what you see. You know, sometimes we see different things. You know, I thought about something this week. You know, when we have little kids around, whether it's our grandkids or what, you know, if we can teach them while they're little to recognize that little flower. Look at that pretty little flower growing there. Look at something else that you see. Look at those clouds. Can you imagine what that cloud is? What kind of a shape is that cloud? Talk to your kids about what you see in those clouds, in those animals. It's just so good. You know what? You may be creating an artist and you don't even know it, just because you're helping them to learn to see. I told my student this week, if you can see it, you can paint it. So you teach that little one to see stuff, and who knows, someday they'll bring their picture to you and say, okay, Grandma, look what I painted. This is me. I painted me, and I painted you with me. Let them do their imagination. Oh my. You know what? Usually the kids have such good imaginations. It's just a part of the way they are. And sometimes when we grow up as adults, we lose our imagination. Don't lose your imagination, please. Oh, keep your imagination going. There's too much in life to not let your imagination go, because you can make a difference for someone else if you can help train their imagination. So, oh my. Oh, here, and I see this other post that I covered up. I've got to put this post over here. I don't know what all these posts were, but you know, the wires and all that, they're kind of long gone. This one had some wire wound around it. Oh my. You know what? I've got to paint this barn. I've waited long enough. And before I paint the red part of the barn, I got to paint this metal thing up here. And to me, it's really kind of, it looks so much, you know, part of the reason I think it looks like this is I think it's reflecting the sun. I think that's what it is, because it looks so blue. Yeah, that's going to be a pretty good color. Okay, we're going to do that, and then I'm going to, you know what? I don't like to have to stop, but I'm going to stop in just a minute and have me a drink of water, just because it might be a good thing. But look at that. Now, if that doesn't look like a metal on a barn, I don't know what would look more like metal. So that's part of that blue. It's kind of the elephant gray thing, isn't it? That's what it looks like, the elephant gray. Now the top one is really a lot lighter. So I think what I will do, I want to show you what I will do, because this is really important. When you want, I'm going to get me a drink of water, and then I'll tell you what, when you want to have something lighter, what you do. Oh, water's good. When you want to have something lighter, what you do is you paint it first in just water. My water's kind of dirty, but I think I can get by with it. I'm gonna brush out that. Now, you paint it first with just water. Just water. And the reason you do that is because then when you put the color on it, it's not going to absorb as much because you've had the color on it, you've had the water on it. And I think this will work. So I'm gonna paint this, and I'm not gonna worry if it comes down into this other, because we can just blend that. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. Now I'm gonna put this. See how good this brush is? See how fine that is? That's so neat that that brush is so fine. And part of it is never leave it in your water. Lay it flat. Okay, so now I'm going to take my number 8 brush, and I'm going to use the same color that I used here for the barn, but because I've got water on there, it's going to turn lighter. So, and I'm going to show you just a minute what I'm going to do, because it's just being a little bit darker than what I want. So I'm just going to blot it. I'm just going to blot it, and I think that'll make it the right color. So I'm going to take my paper towel. Yeah. We really want it light. We really want it light. Now I see little tiny mark here that I don't like. So I'm going to take my Frit scrubber, see, and I wet it, okay? And I'm going to come, and I took my fingers like this just to kind of pull the water away, and I'm going to just scrub that, just really, really lightly where I don't like that line. Look at that. That took care of it totally. That's awesome. That's all it needs. Now you'll see there's a little bit of a shadow here, and I've got some shadow here, and I'll come back in and do that, but I'm gonna wait till it dries. I like that. Oh, let's do the red barn. Oh, gotta do this red barn. You know, another thing I want to talk to you about, because at some point I want to do this with you for a video. It really is important when you go to frame something that you frame it so that it is special to the picture. Don't try to frame something to match in your house, because that is just not the best way to frame something. Okay, we gotta paint this barn. So here we go. I'm gonna do some more of this red color, and I'll put some brown with it. So we've got a combination of browns, a combination of I'm gonna get some alizarin crimson over here. I want some alizarin crimson in that. And you know, oh, here I go. Oh, look, I'm breaking my own rules. I shouldn't do that, should I? Because here I'm getting too many colors in that. I'm stopping right now. I'm not going to do any more colors in that. Okay, here we go. Oh, look at that. Huh? I like that. Huh? Okay, so I'm going to go right here, and here again, because I've got this bigger brush, I'm going to go up to it, but I'm not going to go right in front of all those lines. I'm not going to go clear up, because then I'll use my smaller brush, because this just makes it paint faster. I mean, you know, why not paint it faster if there's some way to do it? And see, it goes right up against that. Oh wow, I didn't know if I could go, but I can. So if I can go up against it, I will. And then we'll do some highlights to it, because the way the light's shining, there are different places where it's. Look, I'm going to have to mix some more paint already. Can you believe that? That's really, really using that up fast. It's just really sucking up the paint, but that's all right. We will get it on there. Okay. Wow. You know, I'm sure you've seen, well, in fact, I have a frame that I am going to work on trying to put this picture in. But the thing is that I'm going to have to change the color a little bit. so I can change the color. Sometimes you think a frame is just right, and until you get the picture done and you get the thing put in there, you just think, oh my, it needs to have something a little bit different. So sometimes you can change the color of your frame just a little bit, either with this one that I'm doing. I've got some liquid, the stuff when you stain, liquid stainer, just that if you were going to just stain a piece of furniture or something. So I'm going to use some of that to darken it a little bit, because it's a little bit different than what I want. And so I'm going to make this frame work good. So maybe sometime I can show you that, but I'm getting ready to take some stuff to a show, and so this is one that I want to be able to share this old barn with people, because I just think it's so interesting. Now see, look what I've done. I've dipped into, here I'm still using this little brush, I guess, or this number 8 brush. Guess I can get by with it for the moment anyway. And so when you look at the barn, you can see that through the years, this thing has weathered. It's changed a lot. And so some of the boards are going to be darker, and some of them are going to be more weathered. Some of them are, I don't know if they've had to change a lot of these boards because it's so obvious what they did with the roof. So whether they've also had to change some of the boards in this barn to keep it safe. The last time we were up there were guys up there working on stuff, and I don't know exactly what they were doing, because they had it roped off so you couldn't come up to clear where the barn was. We had to stay just where we were and take photos, because they didn't want you clear up to where they were working. So I don't know exactly what they were doing, but I do know they've really tried to save this barn. I have this. You're gonna think this is crazy, but I'm gonna take this color when I get done doing this over here, and I think I'm gonna go over all this black, because I think that would be good. I just don't think there'd be a thing the matter with that. Sometimes you'd start something and you think, oh, that might work. So I kind of think that's what I want to do. I'm going to show you. That's kind of it. I didn't have in mind planning that, but you know what? Look at that. It makes even that dark richer. It makes putting that red over those doors and all of that even makes all that richer. I like that. My word. How crazy. You just don't expect to be doing that. Okay, so now that I've done that, I want to do it up here on this top part, because that is crazy how it makes that kind of come alive too. Now, you've probably heard this if you've done any classes, that we want to have lost and found edges in our painting. So what that is some places that are very, very exact, just picturesque, just exact. And then someplace you're going to have things kind of blended together. Wow, I'm liking that. Now I think that roof is dry enough. I'm going to put some shadows on that roof. We need to have some shadows on that roof. Okay, I'm going to use some of this same blue that's down here on the metal, and I'm going to do this little tiny line here, and we're going to do that, and then I'm going to do some up here, and so that'll be another little shadow line. Okay, and then I'm going to do here. And then I'm just gonna do a little bit of dry brush in this, there, just like that. How's that? That's about all it needs. Now, you know what? We have got to get some of this Oh, some of this ground and those daisies. I need to do those daisies. But, you know what? Here's my old faithful cobalt blue. I just cleaned my brush and I just got cobalt blue on there. I'm going to come in here just a little bit with this barn. I'm just, see, I put just that much on there. Okay, now I'm going to rinse out my brush and I'm going to pull it with my finger just to get some moisture off. Now, I'm going to just pull that. I'm just going to pull that, make that a little bit darker right there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to get some of my orange. Okay, and I'm going to put just a little bit of orange on there, and I'm going to get some new gamboge, and I'm going to put just a little bit of yellow on here. Now, do I have my pen in there? I do. You know what? When this dries, I'm going to do some lines, and it's going to just define some of that some more. I still want a little bit more of this gold. I'm going to put a little bit more of that gold. You know, because there again, because it's transparent colors, it's going to let those colors shine through. Is that awesome? Okay. I don't know, you know, we may need to do those sunflowers later for you because I don't know if I'm running out of time. The clock may get away from us today. I'm going to do this down here at the bottom. I've got to do this here at the bottom with a little bit of green and gold. We need to have this, we need to have these up here. Oh, and I wanted to show you something else. Do I have that? Yeah, I do. I want to show you something else because this is something I haven't shown before. I'm going to put this grass up here, and I'm going to put some more gold in there. I'm just going to mix some of these things. And I want to show you, you know, the palette knife that I showed you. I'm going to put some more of that color up here. That's just, it's really softened up by color. And I'm not going to even worry about going right up here into the barn. But the palette knife, another thing that you can do with that palette knife, now when you do it, then when you put other color on, it's going to let the color go right into that. Okay, here's my little tiny palette knife. You know, remember how I showed you when you use your paint and you slide it off the top so you keep it clean? You can also use your palette knife like this and just do little scratching marks in there to make your little things of grass. See, that grass is far back there, so we don't need very much. So I want to show you that so that you have this. See, we can do this grass up here around this little thing, and then if you come into this with this, then see that color goes into those lines where you've done it. Now you don't want to do a doodles, because if you do a doodles, you're just scratching your paper away. So it's not something you want to do a whole bunch, but it's something that you can do. So I wanted to show you that, because see, it's not going to show much over here, because though you aren't going to see it because that's so dark over there. But it's kind of a fun thing to do, and I think maybe I better do these sunflowers for you later, because I'm just not getting enough done that I want to do. There's so much to do, you guys. Oh my! All we need is more hours in the day, don't we? But I'm going to show you these little lines. I'm going to see my little pen. This is my little micron pen. I'm going to do some little lines here that will just represent the boards. So they aren't going to be real exact. And see, mainly, rather than even making a black mark, it's simply, because this is still damp, it's simply taking out the paint. So it's making lines so it looks like boards. I haven't ever built a house, so I don't know how far those boards are, But this will give you the idea that this old barn has boards. How about that? And I wonder how many people have gone through that. You know what? Somewhere this barn had to have bigger spaces to get bigger things through it. I surely, if it ever kept a tractor, I don't know what it would have kept. But anyway, oh my, is that crazy? But I like it. I'm not going to do it over here because they wouldn't show, but it's kind of nice. It kind of shows just, and I'm sure that's not very good on that, but that's all right. Ordinarily, if you were doing this on something else, in fact, here, that's what I want to do right here. I will do it here. Well, and there we go. Now it's doing it. I think I maybe need a new pen. I'm not getting much ink for there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my little brush and I'm going to add some color to that. I want to add some color to those posts. See, when I have that color, that's the thing about when you're painting something. If you can think of different places on your board where you need, or on your painting where you need another color, see, then while the one thing dries, then you can just come back to it and then just touch it up. The one that, while the other one's drying, then you go back and you fix another spot, and that's how you keep using your paint that you already have mixed up, because see, the same color works for doing the same. Very often when you're doing a color, if you do that same color over repeatedly, it'll just simply darken it. So I think maybe for now, because I use so much of your time, and I thank you for listening, I've got to do those sunflowers. This is going to make an awesome, awesome painting when it's finished, but I don't feel like I'm finished today. So will you come see me again? I would like to have your company. Thank you. You have a super day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed the video, give me a like, and I'd appreciate you subscribing to my channel. Thank you.